So, but let's get started if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Welcome everybody. I'm here today with PJ Reed. She's one of the poets from The Short of It, our anthology that's coming out called The Sound of Brilliance. It's not live yet, I'm still working on it, but it will be available soon. So hopefully within the next couple to 3 weeks, we should be book owners. So I'm hoping. So let me introduce PJ to you. She is, let's see, where's my notes? Okay. I've been speaking with writers and poets who are featured, and she is one of them, obviously. And she is the writer of Warlocks, Destroyer of Worlds. She's a writer and poet from England, holds a BAEd from the Canterbury Christ Church University, and MA from the Bradford University, and has dabbled in psychology with the OU. You'll need to explain to me later what the OU means. She lives in Devon with her 2 daughters, 2 rescue hounds, and a feral cat called Sammy. And you'll need to tell me more about Sammy too, because I do like cats.
Well, if you're lucky, she might come over and disrupt everybody.
Excellent. Have her visit. We get to see her in all her glory. PJ is an outrageously eclectic writer. Her work has appeared in a wide variety of online and print magazines, anthologies, and collections. I see you were shortlisted in 2015 for the National Poetry Anthology Award, and then in 2018 won the Forward Poetry Circle of Life competition for your poem, The Empty Chair. So congratulations for those honors.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. PJ was featured on The Short of It in August of 2020, and she's here with us today so that I can interview her, ask her a few questions, as well as have her do a reading of her lovely poem. So my first question to you, PJ, is, and by the way, I love your lipstick color. It's very,
thank you. It's because my face is so white.
Oh,
I
me
need
too.
something bright on it.
I feel like I fade out. I mean, look, I don't even have eyebrows. You can't see me because I'm so blonde. But yeah, light skin, I get it. It is who we
Zoom
are.
does not help.
Okay.
As I say to everybody, be proud of whatever skin color you are.
Absolutely. Same thing with age, I think. A lot of people, a lot of women that I've encountered, they hide their age, and I don't understand that, because I think you should really be proud of the, I don't care if you're 16 or 60, you know, you've earned those years, so be proud of them.
Definitely. If you're not proud of who you are, then your life is a bit sad, isn't it? Everybody has imperfections. Everybody's going to grow older.
Yep.
Everybody's different color, different hair color. It really doesn't matter. It's what's inside you that counts, isn't it?
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree with you. Okay. So from your bio, I see that you're interested in paranormal and horror. And my question for you on that is, where did that interest come from, do you think? How did that originate?
Well, I don't know if it's always been there. I don't know if you're born with it, but when I was about 5, I watched Dial M for Murder.
Oh, I've seen that.
Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes.
And that sort of had a lasting impression on me. I can still vividly remember it now. And so that was my first introduction. And then I went to secondary school and I got very involved in the library, as you do. Other people go out and do sport or ghastly stuff like that. Whereas, but I sort of beeline for that library. And I read an awful lot of books in the library. Then I came across the Egyptian and the Greek mythology sections.
Nice.
And, them and the underworld. And once you get to the Greek underworld, crossing the river Styx, you get the monsters. And I was really excited about that. And then I found out that also in the Bible, there were lots of monsters as well. So I got very into biblical monsters like Gog and Magog. So it just spiraled from there. Anything which is quite unusual, I was interested in. And the thought of the paranormal always fascinated me because I love science. And what I'd love to do is actually capture the paranormal authentically using science.
Mm-hmm. That would be nice, and I hope they do that one of these days. Because
Yeah.
then it would prove it. Because
Yeah,
right
it's
now
proof.
it's all unknown. It's really, is that real? Could it be? Whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Or is it, is it somebody's psychological preferences? Are they projecting themselves onto it? Is it a natural phenomena? Is it a scientific thing? That's why in my spare time, when we're out of lockdown, I run Ex Noir, which is a paranormal investigation
Oh,
magazine. So,
excellent.
so me and my friends, we go off to somewhere. We all pile out of the van with our little EMF counters and our voice recorders, and try and see if we can find
Hmm.
anything paranormal.
Hmm.
What I love is I'm more in charge of the historical research of what caused people to think in that place there was a ghost,
Hmm.
etc. And it is absolutely fascinating. We went up to Seven Crosses, which is a crossroads. I don't know if you
Hmm.
have them in America,
Oh
but we
yeah.
have great big white crossroad signs. And about 300 years ago, the church used to bury suicides under crossroad signs. And we found out
Interesting.
where we were, there were 3 suicides buried.
Wow.
And I thought this was probably the start of the story about ghosts being there.
Hmm. Well, if you think about it too, I mean, I always imagined that the fondness for believing that is an afterlife, or having apparitions present themselves, was really more of a hallucination for whatever reason. Maybe they were sick or had a fever or whatever. um, or even just, we know with mental illness that people are delusional. They can be delusional. So who knows? I mean, we just don't know. There's never been
Yeah,
an opportunity for us to truly prove that. So yeah, I would hope that someday somebody does. um,
yeah.
but going back to a thought that I had after you mentioned the monsters in the Bible, and just um, there are so many horrific things that occur in the Bible, and not just because of monsters,
Mm,
but just, how things played out. I mean, crucifixions
yeah.
is not an easy thing to go through. So,
No, crucifixions, the death of the firstborn son.
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
there's a lot of bad stuff that
yeah,
goes through. It
yeah.
makes me laugh when I think about, well, not makes me laugh, but it makes me
No,
sad
that
to
would be
think.
really cool.
But it makes me think that, I know a lot of good quote Christian people who believe that, and they think that, God is love. That's it. God is love. I'm like, have you read the Bible? I always ask them that, because there's a lot of bad stuff in there that has happened to, humans, us humans. So but anyway, so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It just brought me back to a thought that you
Yeah,
had after
no,
what
it
you said.
is. It is fascinating because well, I've used the Christian. If I can find it, here. If you see the cover of this book, Church.
I got some of it, not all of it.
Uh, Here you are. Can you see Church?
Yes.
That is because of my research. I've
Hmm.
actually written a book about, well, written several books about a paranormal investigation.
Hmm.
And the guy who's done it is, as you were saying, he actually has delusion. Well, he has apparition
Hmm.
experiences, and people think he's mad,
Hmm.
but he's not. He actually has them, and it's true. And he has to fight demons,
Hmm.
etc., in his daily
And
life.
but if you think about it too, though, I wouldn't consider. I mean, mental illness is something that afflicts people because of a chemical imbalance.
Mm.
And if it has the power to change your perception about things, then I guess that's a reasonable explanation for what they see or what they're telling us. Um, I guess I don't understand the leap from, if a delusion is what's occurring with these people, then why
Mm-hmm.
would we automatically attribute it to an apparition, a real apparition? You know what I mean?
Mm. Well,
If
it's
it's
just
just,
because it is interesting because one thing is, how do you know it's actually a delusion? they could actually be seeing the reality of world. They
Right.
could
And
be peering into a bubble universe.
right.
You just don't know. I mean, one person's reality is completely different from another person's reality.
And it could be. We could be in the Matrix.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. You just don't know. I mean, that
Right.
is the fascinating thing about, well, it's theoretical physics, really. You cannot even justify your existence. You cannot even say you're alive in reality, if this is reality.
Right.
Are
But
we
we don't.
really here?
Right. Or we just, it's sitting in a bowl somewhere. Who knows?
Yes. I mean, are you real? Are you an AI?
I don't know, but all I know is what I can perceive. And right now I have this beautiful person, PJ Reed, in front of me that I'm interviewing. So there
Yeah,
we go.
you are very, it must be somebody else then.
Oh,
That's all
stop.
I can say.
Well, while we're jovial, let's find out what has your journey been with writing? How did it start? Where did you think you would end up? And what are you currently working on? If you can share that with us. Or if you don't want to
Yeah,
give out spoilers, that's up to you.
ah, now, Essie, where did my journey began? Well, my journey began like most people. It begins at school. And at school, what I used to do is we were quite poor, so we didn't have many books at all. So I only had about 3 books in my bookcase. And
Hmm.
these were my very, very special books.
And what
So
were they?
from one Biggles,
Okay.
Biggles and the adventure series by two of the adventure series by Willard Price,
Excellent. Okay.
because I'd actually inherited them from the people who used to live in our house. And
Oh.
they were actual hardcover. It was amazing. And so that's my love and adoration of books came from then.
Hmm.
Even now, I can't stand if somebody writes in a book or turns over a page. I think, you're ruining the magic.
You're
They're
hurting
all,
them.
yes, and they're so precious. I mean, we're so lucky to actually have books.
Hmm.
Now, unfortunately, my house has more books than anything. Every single room is full of bookcases.
So
Because
you're a hoarder.
once I get a book, it never ever goes. Just in case I need it for reference.
Gotcha. I wish I had the luxury to do that. I've got little nooks and crannies of everywhere where I put them, station them for reading purposes. But I would love to keep every single book that I've read so that I could say that, but I just don't have the room for it,
Oh,
unfortunately.
get rid
I
of the
save my
clothes.
I don't have I'm not a clothes whore either.
Oh,
I'm pretty down to earth in that regard, but books, I wish I could save all of them. But and then
mm,
have a beautiful big library to put, have all these bookcases. That would be my dream if I could do that, but unfortunately I can't. So I save the ones that I absolutely um, are very, very meaningful to me. And I don't feel like I'm uh, losing anything, or it's really somebody else's gain because I usually give them to secondhand stores so that
that's
they can
very good.
recycle them to other people's desires of reading books. So
Mhm,
that's what I do.
yeah. Well, at the moment, I have a problem because I have too many magazines, and I have stacks of magazines, and I have run out of space. So now I'm
Oh,
basically just piling them.
okay. I understand that.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Hey, they're
So
in one place then. That's good.
yeah, they're not actually. A magazine pile has started in the living room.
Oh,
But just in case you're there, you don't want to watch TV, read a magazine.
right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. There's
yeah.
good
So
ones.
that was yeah, magazines. Where have I got to? Yeah, but the interesting thing was, so I had my love of books, but my problem was my writing was never as good as my vocal speech. And so I was really, really slow at writing. I used to get massively told off. But even so, I used to write plays at primary school. So
Hmm.
when other people went out for playtime, I used to ask the teacher, "Can I stay in and write
Mm,
instead?" Being
awesome.
a being an outdoor type person, and they always said,
Uh-huh.
"Yeah, no problem." So I had to work double hard to get my writing down, just to do it. But then when I went to do my degree, funnily enough, we found out that I'm quite badly dyslexic. So then everything came into place.
Wow, that's interesting that you found that out though, because I mean, obviously now they've given you tools to help you overcome that and make sense of the things that you're putting down on paper, right?
Yeah, well, not really. By that time, I'd actually worked out my own systems of
Oh,
things. So
gotcha.
it
Okay.
was a little bit late, but it slotted everything into why things were happening, why I was
Hmm.
never as good as writing and reading as other people,
Hmm.
even though I came quite high in the intelligence tests. And everybody just told me it was because I didn't try hard enough. I was lazy,
Don't you
like
hate that?
that.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. But now, to be brutally honest, I really don't care. I've got to that stage of life.
Excellent.
I have my systems. My interesting thing is reading out aloud,
Hmm.
even my own work. I can be reading it and suddenly I can't recognize a single word or letter.
Wow.
It's just a smudge.
Interesting.
And yeah, which is quite fun when you're reading
Uh-huh.
to an audience.
Uh-huh. And
So
what do they do or how do they react when that
well,
situation occurs?
I just make it up.
That's awesome. Okay, so we'll when you do your poetry reading today, I will watch carefully.
Yeah, it's when I stop reading and just make it off my head. It's okay. It's apart from when you're doing rhyming poetry,
Hmm.
and then you're thinking, okay, it's really hard to make up rhymes on the spot unless you're a rapper.
Yeah, and the people that can do that, it amazes me. I don't even, I mean, I feel like I can only write. I write better
Mm,
than I speak, and I don't know how somebody can just really make something cohesive out of just being able to purge words like that and quickly without
mm,
forethought or anything. So I feel like writing is so makes so much more sense for me. Um,
me
Another
too.
question related to that: when you do that, when you things blank, how long does that last?
Yeah, I don't, usually to the end of my, I usually have to actually put my writing away at that point,
Wow,
and the rest of the thing is just pretend.
interesting. That is so fascinating to hear. I've never heard that before. It's different, but
Yeah,
it
well,
sounds like
my
you've
brain is different, unfortunately.
everybody's is different and there's nothing wrong with that's what makes us us. That's what makes us special, I think, because we add something, although universally. And one of the things that I've figured out with the this is now the fifth interview that I've done, and what I have found with most of the contributors, you guys, there's so much that we have in common, whether it's life experience or journeys with writing. I've really enjoyed asking the same questions of a variety of people, and then to find out that there's so much that we have similar, or, that we're similar with. But in the end, there's still something also very unique about each and every one of you, which is awesome because I like understanding that bit about other people. What is it about
Mhm.
you that makes you special? So it's really
Mm.
good to learn that, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let's move on to the next question. What I'm trying to remember where I lost my space here. Okay. I'm guessing from your website and the books that you've published that haiku may be your favorite poetry style, or are there others that you prefer? Because you've done quite a few books in haiku, that
Yeah,
series that you did. So
yeah.
do you like any other structured types, or do you like free verse? What's your favorite?
Oh my goodness. Well, I've always absolutely adored all poetry.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, so basically, I most of my books I've actually published are haiku, but that is literally because I very sensibly I like organisation. So my first haiku book was Haiku Nation, and that was a mixture of all the different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I don't like that. I'm going to do a haiku book per season.
Excellent.
That is when you get a lot of haiku books.
So you've broken it up.
Yeah, so it's actually taken 4 years because I broke up Haiku Nation. I found out I had four haiku per
Nice.
season. And then I
Excellent.
thought, God, I got a lot more writing to do. So but obviously, I wrote after 4 years. I've almost completed my haiku season collection.
Hmm.
Haiku summer is complete, but I literally have not had time to send it to my publishers or anything because I've been a bit too busy. But that haiku is complete now. The
Hmm.
next haiku journey will be Exmoor haiku, but literally that will take another 4 years.
Wow.
But that is haiku. I love haiku because it's pictures, it's postcards,
Hmm.
it's short, sharp postcards
Hmm.
of of an image you see, and you capture that image forever. It's like painting.
Hmm.
It is lovely. But since COVID, I've done an awful lot of open poems,
Hmm.
prose poetry, and at the moment I've had over 100 published, which is really nice.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yes, a bit of a surprise to be honest. And what I do love is I'm getting actors and actresses to perform them now.
Sweet.
And to be brutally frank, when you actually get an actor to say your poem, it's 100% better than when you say it. For a
It's fun.
start, they read it and they can understand it.
Yeah. And that is that you mentioned that is funny to me, and not that it is funny, but it's funny to me because I had played with the idea of starting like a podcast to read poetry, and it wasn't just reading my poetry, but I wanted to read other people's poetry too. But I had a hang up with getting on camera with it, and I still do. I'm pretty much an introvert. I stay to myself pretty much, and even this was a little daunting for me to, but it's just a discussion. I finally gotten
Mhm.
to the point that it feels very relaxing for me to talk to the poets. But I thought I'm going to read my poetry. And, well, I still don't have enough confidence that it's actually going to sound well. So it's good to know that other people, because, and I'll tell you why. I have, I don't know if you remember on my blog, what I do is the 5 Day Tales, where I tell the stories, Monday
Mhm.
through Friday, 5 Day Tales, and then I have hopefully a great ending. But I had one of my co-people on WordPress, one of my the blogs that I read from him, and he actually volunteered to read one of my stories because he really liked the story. And I said, "Oh, excellent, go for it. I want to hear
Mhm.
him. I can't wait to see how that plays out." Um, but and then I thought after that, I said, "Well, if he can do it, I can do it." So I still am thinking about going back and
Yeah.
doing all my 5 Day Tales, but he offered to do all of them if I decided no, I didn't want to. So hey,
Mhm.
it might turn out that way. We'll see. Because he's got a very good voice and a very good storytelling
Oh,
voice. So we'll see.
okay.
But
But
that's
whatever
coming.
you do, before you start reading your poetry, do not look on YouTube and listen to the actors reading. Because once you've heard sort of Sean Bean or
Mhm.
Andrew Scott Lee reading their poetry, or even Benedict Cumberbatch, you're thinking, I'm just not in their league. I haven't been to drama school or anything. And then I've seen some really good performance poets as
Mhm.
well. And I thought, not a performance poet, are you? But no, no, you're not. Except what you're good at. And I'm mainly good at writing
Mhm.
quietly in a corner somewhere.
Same with me. I have my little, I call it my cave. This is where
Yes.
where I am. It's usually dark and secluded, and I've got my lights on, and that's about it. Um, it made me think of something else that you said about actors reading your work. You're familiar with Helen Mirren, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She read a poem. uh, shoot, what is the gentleman's name now? He was like a late show host, Stephen Colbert. And she read that. I'll send you the link afterwards so you can listen
Mm-hmm.
to it, but it was amazing. And let me make myself a note so I don't forget. But he brought, or she brought him to tears. It was just
Oh,
beautiful. It was a great,
yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, definitely. But you just have to remember these people are, you know, probably Shakespearean trained actors.
Mhm.
They've been doing it for many, many years.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're trained to write quietly in a corner. So it's a different skill set
Oh,
completely.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I say I hesitate doing it because I feel like more comfortable in that zone of just being the creator rather than the converser or reader or whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had another question for you. When you say you mentioned in your bio, you dabbled in psychology with the OU.
Mm-hmm.
What does that, first off, what is the OU? And then when you say dabbled in, tell me more about that.
Okay, well, Open University,
Okay.
OU, it sounds like Open University. That's a university, it's a worldwide university, anybody can join.
Okay.
And it's an online university, and sometimes you have to go to colleges and they'll run 1 week courses, but you get a proper degree afterwards. And it is very good, especially if you're working or you have children at home and you can't go away. So
Mhm.
they have a plethora of courses online for you to choose from,
Mhm.
and they are quite expensive though.
Oh, okay.
But
All right.
you know,
So when you
that's life.
dabbled in psychology,
Yeah,
you
because
just
I'm
learned it,
very
or did you get a
um
degree?
I didn't get a degree because I've got a couple of degrees anyway.
Okay.
And to be honest, I was only interested in certain aspects of psychology.
Okay.
And I was really interested in abnormal psychology, which might not surprise you.
Nope,
So
not at all.
so literally all I wanted to do was every single forensic psychology, abnormal psychology course.
Okay.
So I did that and it made me happy. And I did it for no other reason, so that when I write my bad guys, they can be effective bad guys.
Right,
Because
because you
what
understand their psychopathy. That's perfect.
yeah, yeah.
So
And my
have you
specialism, the dark triad of personality.
Ooh,
So
okay.
and
So you,
psychopathy is one of those, yes.
right.
There's what I don't like is when you're watching a film and suddenly at the very end the bad guy
Mhm.
turns absolutely mad, starts giggling and or hacking at people, and you just think, no, that is not what would happen, and that bugs me almost as much as a historical inaccuracy. So
Mhm.
so my bad guys are effective, and basically they have reasons for being bad.
Mhm.
They're not all bad. They have some redeeming points. Because I mean, to be honest, if someone was as bad as I don't know who's a really bad person,
Um,
as bad as Chucky, we'll say Seed or Chucky, Seed of Chucky,
mhm.
nobody would go near them. Nobody would want to be with them, would they?
Right. They wouldn't. Well, I think the people that are really successful serial killers are the ones that, or, deviant people are the ones who are able to actually have access to people and charm them. I mean, we
Yeah.
had here in Kansas, we had the serial killer BTK. He had a career spanning, what, 40 years? And he was
Mhm.
a quote normal man in society. He went to church with his family and, worked a job, was steady and all that stuff. So, but he had a dark side to him. And,
Yeah.
BTK, I don't know if you're familiar with BTK, but it was bind,
No.
torture, kill is what he did. So he bound his victims, tortured them, and then killed them. And this went on. Oh God, something just popped.
Talking about serial killers, yes.
My face probably was like, oh. Anyway, sorry about that. My husband, being the sweetheart that he is, he bought these balloons. It was our anniversary yesterday.
Oh,
And
happy
so, thank
anniversary.
you. And he gifted me with all these books, but the way he did it was he lined from our bedroom to the kitchen. He did like I journeyed from one balloon to the next with a book
Mm-hmm.
next
Oh,
to each balloon. Well, they've slowly been popping, and it's hilarious because this morning the first one went and it sounded like a gunshot, and that's again so another balloon just popped. So,
the
oh,
dark side of romance,
oh
really,
my
isn't it?
goodness, yes. He said he was in the kitchen this morning. He told when I texted him, he said, "Yeah, that thing, the balloon just popped, and I'm in there making coffee." I said, like, "Oh
Oh,
my gosh!" He died with shock. It was hilarious. But anyway,
oh,
so
poor guy.
yeah. But sorry about that. I didn't mean for it to interrupt our conversation. Where were we? BTK.
Yes, we're on serial killers, as you do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they are. They are charismatic. They
Hmm.
talk to people. They like to manipulate people, and they're good at it. Usually, a lot of them are highly intelligent, and they know
Absolutely.
exactly how to manipulate people. So you
Hmm.
want that in your writing, to give your writing full rounded, full body, real characters,
Hmm.
which is what I try to do. Which is why a lot of people say they won't read some of my dark um, stories and my dark
Oh, I think
plays.
they're
They say they're too lifelike, and I thought
well,
that's the point.
exactly. And I'm fascinated by the horror genre myself. I can't say that I've ever written a novel, but I have author friends. I don't know. Are you familiar with Ray Garton? I'll send you a link for him
No.
too. You might
Mm-hmm.
enjoy his writing as well. He gets pretty. There's one. It's called the Gnashing and Wailing of Teeth. Oh, that one gets really gory. And I've written some gory stuff, but not anything that I think I'm very talented in. I don't know enough, and I like the fact that you get an education about these types of characters that you're going to write about because it definitely would add to the credibility of them. So good on you. I'll have to check out your library or your book collection, and definitely for the
Yeah.
haikus because I love haiku. That's probably in through my journey. I feel like that's my favorite, and that's how the short of it became because I
Mm-hmm.
do enjoy that succinctness of writing. I love deep meaning in very few words. So, um, another question I have for you is when you do write, do you get in a flow where you just forget time and space?
A lot. Yeah,
A lot.
once it was 7 hours.
Woo.
I was sitting there, and I actually missed. I went from basically breakfast to dinner time. I missed lunch and didn't have a drink at all. So
Okay.
I,
So I
I
had
have
you
to be.
pegged. I had you pegged. That's great. I'm glad to hear that.
I have to be really careful because I think when I'm writing, and when I'm reading as well, I actually have to have Alexa on full and set the alarm. So, Alexa, tell me when it's, oh, sorry, Alexa off. Alexa off. I have to whisper. I have to have her to set timers and alarms so she wakes me up out of my creative flow.
Excellent. I knew
So I
I
just got to
that's
help her.
because I had be in preparation for these questions, I've been going through people's bios and this reread the poetry, and I feel like a lot of the questions that I come up with are because I feel like I know something about them. So I'm glad that you confirmed my suspicion there. Okay. Do you have anything planned in the future that kind of stretches you out of your comfort zone? Like that really doesn't have
um,
anything to do with what you're currently working on or prefer?
oh, let's see. Since COVID began, I've actually started writing plays again, and I hadn't written a play since I was under 10.
Wow.
So that sort of stretched me, but I had to actually go and research actually how to write a play because there's rules
Yeah.
and regulations. So that's been interesting. And I've got a full-length play coming out vaguely sometime. It's about a paranormal experience people have in Devon, and it's quite a funny one. So that's out of my comfort zone because I've never written a full-length play before. I usually
Wow.
write short, sharp,
Mm-hmm.
you know, terrify people and leave type plays. And I've also started on Wattpad. I just thought I'm going to experience everything. So I went onto Wattpad for the first time, and I'm doing a weekly, a chunk of story on there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cyberpunk sci-fi.
Ooh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. So I was talking to my sci-fi friend, he's Richard D,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, is there any genre that you wouldn't try? And I said, no, give everything a go. And
Mm-hmm.
he said, what about cyberpunk? And I thought, I will take up that challenge. So so my cyberpunk is coming up gradually. Once so I actually really enjoyed it because all the science I actually read, you can regurgitate
Mm-hmm.
into um, cyberpunk sci-fi future. So it's pretty good. And it actually is interesting because it stars
All right.
an American army captain who's actually stuck in Devon, England, when the world collapsed.
Ooh,
So
okay.
not only the world has collapsed, but he's in an entirely new environment, a new space, and it's fascinating his understanding of Britain and what's happening to him. It's a
So
lot of fun, really.
that
Of
reminds
course,
me
he's
of,
highly attractive.
course, yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. Yeah.
You're more of a seal type, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, oh yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to send you a link to another book series that I think you might enjoy too. It's called Time Shards, is the initial one, and then I think the second one is Shatter Wars, and I don't remember. It's a not
Mhm.
cyberpunk, but it's got history and everything, and you probably enjoy that too.
Mhm.
Time Shards. It's another one of
Yeah.
my Arthur friends and his wife. They did a series together. They're real. It's a really cool story because
Oh.
he's the historian and she is. Uh, well, I'll explain it all in the link, but it's a really good series. You might
Mm.
enjoy it. Um, Last thing I wanted to ask you, which poem did you want to read?
I've actually. Well, let's have a look. If I can
Okay.
see. I need to put my glasses on so I can actually read it.
Okay.
All right. Well, I just thought. Well, I printed out the ones for the books. Would that be all
Okay.
right, or do you want me to read something else? I have about 200. Would you
Well,
want one from the
um,
thought of it or something different?
what I was hoping you would read is one of the poems from the anthology that was selected. So
Okay.
that would be great. But
All right. Well,
I
yeah.
will probably immerse myself more in more of your work privately, but not. We don't have all the time in the world to do 200 poems.
200 poems.
So
Well, that'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm going to read you one of my favourite ones from the anthology, though, because
great.
yeah, okay, and I'll try and read it properly.
Okay.
Right. See thistle towers, bees bumble through barbed flowers, wearing pollen shoes.
Love that one. Because you can just picture it. I've seen them with their little bumble shoes and pollen. It's so cool looking. So I love that
Yeah.
one.
Oh, thank you. And
You're welcome.
that's one of my bee selection. I've got quite a few bees because I have thistles in they grew accidentally in the garden and
Hmm.
they attract a massive amount of bees. We have now got a lot more thistles and a lot more bees.
Excellent. So now with the bee, is there a colony? Like can you put them in a thing so that they can, what do you call those things? Beehives or whatever, so that
Yeah.
they can grow honey and you can.
Oh no, no, they're just
No.
free range bees. They can do what
Oh,
they
okay.
want.
Okay.
Much more of
Because
a let animals do be animals.
well, oh, I have nothing against animals doing their thing, but their thing is producing honey too. So that's why. I've always been
Yeah.
fascinated by people who have their hives, and just for, letting bees do what they want or do what they naturally would. But the benefit of that is to enjoy great honey. It's all natural, and
Oh,
it's good for you too. That's the other thing, especially for people who have allergies, because it
mm,
actually helps stave off that allergic reaction, helps protect people from inflammation, which I thought was interesting. Um, we have a guy.
unfortunately, we've got a massive big dog. So
Oh, he
if
would
we
get bit.
have anything like that in the garden, well, if we have try and put a plant in the garden
Hmm.
that isn't prickly, it's dug up, it's on the side, it's half eaten.
And what
If,
kind of dog do you have?
it's a Romanian rescue dog.
Oh,
We get it was in 5 houses before it got to us, so it's
oh.
he suffers from anxiety and he's very worried. But it's we got it, and the woman said, "Oh yeah, it's a size of a Jack Russell."
Well, that's not, that's like a medium size, right? Or no, 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 Jack
A
Russell. I was
tiny
thinking, oh,
dog.
little
So
one.
I
Okay.
came up with my Jack Russell, carrying case and my Jack
Oh,
Russell harness, and I saw it, and I thought, "That's not a Jack Russell. It's more like a golden retriever,
well,
actually."
that's what I initially, that's what I thought. So, okay.
So I just thought, "Oh, okay." And I have a little case, and his head wouldn't even, his head wouldn't even fit.
I'm picturing you trying to, okay, get in there.
It was actually awful because obviously he wouldn't fit in his box, so
Right.
we had to actually tie him to the safety belt in the back of the car when we got him, and it makes us look like really bad owners, doesn't it? So
It's
anyway, we got him, and we did a DNA test because we thought, what on earth is it?
right.
Because it's big, floppy, with a curly tail like that, and it's bright ginger.
Interesting.
And we found out it's a Portuguese mountain dog, Hungarian Vizsla cross.
Oh, Vizzles are amazing. I have friends of mine live a while away from me, but they have two of them and they're beautiful. They almost look like humans in the face. It's just, it's so incredible. But interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
Well,
that's why we can't have any structure or any plant
gotcha.
bigger than that in the garden.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, but they're the love of your life, I'm sure. They're your
Oh,
family, so
definitely. And
it's
he's
worth
on
it.
social media, and
Is
he has a
he?
big following.
Oh
Yes,
my
the
goodness, you
Adventures of Rupert.
The Adventures of Rupert. Okay, are we talking Twitter, TikTok?
Or if you just have a look on my posts on Twitter,
Okay,
once a day there'll be a Rupert pup date,
I will check it out.
and he's got he has a lot of friends and
Okay.
followers because he was a bit poorly this week.
Aw,
And then we found out that he wasn't actually really poorly.
what was his deal?
He just wanted a bit more attention than normal. So we got massively conned. And this, I don't know if you could hear a meowing at the
Yes, I
bottom of the
could. Oh,
screen. And
beautiful.
it is, see how much he likes being held.
Hi, Sammy. He's adorable. The colors are gorgeous.
Yeah, she's,
Oh,
yeah, look at that. She says, "Don't touch
oh,
me."
she. Sorry. I was
Yeah, that'll
thinking,
keep
I
her
guess,
quiet for a bit.
yeah, I was thinking Sammy male. I shouldn't have made that assumption. Very cute. I think she's adorable. Okay,
Yeah.
so
She's now
let's
sitting with her back to us because I touched her.
bad lady.
Yes.
I'm going to wrap this up now because I have got to get on to another interview. But I wanted
Mm-hmm.
to just remind you that the submissions are going to reopen July
Mm-hmm.
1st. So we would love for you to continue to contribute. And
Oh, definitely. Yes.
excellent. I wanted to thank you for taking the time. I know that, people are busy, and you taking the time just to get to spend it with me and allowing me to
Yeah,
ask
it's
questions. I
lovely
appreciate
talking to you.
you as
And it's
well.
really nice seeing you face to face as well.
I know that, and this is one of the reasons that I did it is because it's been a wonderful experience. Just even having the idea of the short of it, and then expanding it into the idea of having an anthology. working with everybody has been such a pleasure. And I thought, well, let's do this too, because Lisa was the one who gave me the idea because she had her anthology and interviewed people about and asked them to read. And I thought, oh, that's a great idea. So I kind of
Mm.
swiped that from her, and I appreciate her inspiring me to do that. But it's the joy of it is that I get to meet all the people that I'm working with behind the scenes, because email is cold and informal, and it's just about getting information across. So getting to know the people has been really a pleasant experience, and I appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Yeah, it's nice to be here, and it's nice to talk to somebody about
Absolutely.
everything, really, isn't
Yeah, it is. So thank you for that, and thank you for your
it?
participation in the anthology as well as in the short of it. So I look forward
Yeah.
to seeing more of your work.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for all your effort in the field of poetry. I
Absolutely. Thank
much
you.
appreciated.
Thank you. We'll see
Okay,
you
bye
later.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.